how biological self-defense mechanisms work in plants. All living organisms encounter countless dangers throughout their lives. From tiny microorganisms to large animals like humans, no living thing can completely escape attacks from viruses, bacteria, or other organisms. Herbivores may fall prey to carnivores or become sick when attacked by microorganisms. What about plants? Plants are also attacked by other organisms, but unlike animals, they cannot run away from danger. So, how do plants protect themselves? Since they cannot move, plants have evolved ways to turn their bodies into a kind of fortress. Their defenses can be broadly divided into physical and chemical defenses. The sharp spines on a chestnut burr are a familiar example of physical defense. Before an animal can eat a chestnut, it first has to get past those spines. The rough hairs on a kiwi serve a similar purpose. Have you ever felt a slight sting when pulling up grass? That is because the edges of grass leaves contain hard, sharp structures made partly of silica. It is almost as if the plant has hidden tiny knives in its leaves. But what if spines and hairs were the only defenses plants had? An insect could simply avoid the spines and eat the leaves, leaving the plant with little way to fight back. That is why plants have developed an even more ingenious strategy. They recruit other organisms as bodyguards. Corn is a good example. When Asian corn borer caterpillars attack a corn plant and chew on its leaves, the plant uses signaling molecules such as jasmonic acid to activate its defense response. As part of this process, the plant releases specific scents that attract parasitoid wasps. The parasitoid wasps then attack the Asian corn borer caterpillars and eventually kill them. Instead of fighting the caterpillars itself, the corn plant sends out a chemical distress signal that essentially says, "Help!" and calls in reinforcements. In a way, plants have their own emergency communication network. Roses and hibiscus use similar strategies. Aphids are troublesome pests that suck sap from plants. Hibiscus, however, can direct sap to specific areas of its leaves, causing aphids to gather there. This attracts ladybugs, which feed on aphids. The plant cannot directly tell a ladybug, "There is food here," but by creating a place where aphids gather, it essentially sets up a buffet for the ladybugs. Plants have not only bodyguards, but also a chemical arsenal. Conifers such as pine, Korean pine, and Hinoki cypress produce various chemicals to defend themselves against pathogens, pests, and other threats. The distinctive plant-like scents we often notice in forests are also associated with some of these compounds. When plants are attacked, they may produce larger amounts of defense-related proteins and chemicals. So, do plants only defend themselves after an attack begins? No. Plants can detect attacks and activate defense systems suited to the situation. It is similar to how a fire alarm detects a fire, sounds an alarm, and triggers a building's fire protection system. In plants, various signaling molecules and proteins perform these roles. One particularly interesting example is an enzyme called chitinase. Chitinase breaks down chitin, a substance found in the exoskeletons of insects and the cell walls of fungi. Plants themselves contain very little chitin. So why do they have an enzyme that breaks it down? Because they can use it to defend themselves against insects and pathogenic fungi. It is as if plants recognize an enemy's weapon and prepare a defense specifically designed to counter it. Another enzyme, glucanase, breaks down glucans. When plants are attacked by pathogens, they respond by regulating the activity of defense-related enzymes such as glucanase. This shows that plants are not simply organisms covered in defensive spines. They have sophisticated systems that detect attacks and activate the defenses they need. But an even more surprising defense strategy comes into play here. Plants sometimes deliberately kill their own cells. Why would a plant that needs to survive intentionally kill its own cells? When a plant is attacked by a pathogen, infected cells can undergo programmed cell death, effectively isolating the infected area from surrounding tissue. It is similar to deliberately cutting off a bridge near a castle gate to prevent invading forces from advancing into the fortress. The plant sacrifices some of its cells to prevent the pathogen from spreading to other parts of the plant. It is a strategy of sacrificing a few to protect the whole. Plants, then, are much more proactive about survival than we might imagine. They use spines and hairs to keep attackers away, chemicals to fight off threats, other organisms to help defend them, and even sacrifice their own infected cells when necessary. So, are plants really organisms that simply stand in one place and do nothing? In fact, plants have overcome their inability to move with remarkably sophisticated biological systems. When we look at a tree in a forest or grass growing along the roadside, it may appear to be standing quietly. But inside, countless signals, chemicals, and proteins are constantly exchanging information and coordinating defenses to help the plant survive. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about plants is not their ability to escape an attack, but their ability to find ways to survive right where they are.